For the sake of the environment, the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement wants to eliminate the human race from the planet.
Hey, I'm Andrew Hales. Welcome to another edition of Chatting With. Today I'm here with David.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Human Extinction Movement. What are some other terms for it?
Well, it kind of falls under a bigger umbrella of anti-natalism, which is like a philosophical argument that applies a negative value to birth for one reason or another. Humans cause so much harm to either other humans or non-humans that it's wrong to create more of them.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the most extreme form of being an environmentalist.
Pretty much. Yeah, a lot of environmentalists wouldn't agree with it either.
How did you get into it?
Well, I've always had an interest in environmental issues. And for the past 8 years or so, I've worked in conservation biology, like with land management agencies doing habitat restoration work. And when you are confronted with the issues that humans have with the environment on a daily basis, it's pretty overwhelming, and I don't think anyone doing that type of work is an optimist.
Yeah.
So over the years, I would kind of wonder if the planet, meaning the species on the planet, would be better off without us. And I didn't think they would be at first because there'd be no one here to do the work of like restoring the habitats that we've already harmed.
So no kids for you?
Not yet, and I don't plan to.
Okay.
So when I first came to the idea, I thought I was like the only one. I hadn't heard about it before.
I hadn't heard about it until you emailed me, yeah.
Yeah, but then I decided to Google it, and lo and behold, there was already a website called Voluntary Human Extinction Movement. I mean, I try to, use reusable shopping bags and things like that, and take shorter showers, but I think all those changes are good for people to try to make, but really in the end they're a drop in the bucket compared to the effect that having one child will have. There was a 2009 study by Oregon State that tried to estimate the carbon footprint of reproduction, and they concluded that having one child was the equivalent of 9,441 metric tons, which is roughly 2,500 round trip flights between New York and London.
So do you kind of believe we're just a parasite on this rock in space? Or like we weren't supposed to happen, or?
No, I think we're a natural product of evolution, but because I work with the invasive species, like I was saying, I kind of view humans through that lens, that we're not native to most of the planet except for Africa in an evolutionary sense. So we've had negative impacts everywhere we've migrated to, just like invasive species do.
You got some like stats here?
Yeah, I can memorize them all. So as people have migrated to these different parts of the world, and with the black arrow there pointing to when we arrived on these different places, and then the large mammal populations afterwards.
What are you doing now to combat the invasive species problem?
Well, just in my work, the small lands that I manage, we're just trying to control the spread of the weeds, the plants.
What do you think is the meaning of life?
That's a good question. I don't know that there is a meaning, but I find meaning and purpose in trying to undo the wrongs that humans have caused, and help the well-being of non-human species.
Are you vegetarian, or what kind of diet you have?
I eat meat right now. I've tried to not eat meat, and I think those personal changes that like that are, it's an everyday choice you have to make to not eat meat, and it's definitely difficult in the beginning. I think once you get used to it, it's probably pretty second nature. But as someone who cares about the environment and who has a hard time transitioning his diet, you know, it just makes it seem more hopeless that people who are even more apathetic would be able to make personal sacrifices.
Yeah.
And not having a kid is just a one-time, you know, event or one-time decision.
So the only thing you're doing is just not having kids.
Basically. I mean, I'm sure I haven't really heard this counter-argument much, but I'm sure in the YouTube world there'll be people commenting, why don't you just kill yourself? Because
right.
that would save resources, right?
That's cruel.
But I think there's a difference between the interests of a being that already is and a being that could be. You know, a being that doesn't exist yet doesn't really have any interest in you know, pain or suffering or whereas I don't want to die. I don't want to cause myself that pain and suffering, or my family who would, you know, suffer from that.
Right.
But I do agree it would be better for the environment.
After we die, you think, like, you're pretty much an atheist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think like at the heart of a lot of these issues is anthropocentrism. Have you heard that term? It's kind of just means human-centric, like that favors human interests over other species. Whereas I would call myself a biocentrist, meaning all species are equal. They all have inherent worth, and their interests all matter. I think a lot of people would say that human interests are more important because we do have the ability to reason and suffer more. We have different capacities than other species. But then the counter argument to that is that there's capacities that we don't have. We can't regenerate lost limbs or convert sunlight into energy or fly or breathe underwater. And the different capacities, I think, just allow us to thrive in our respective environmental conditions. They're not inherently better or worse.
Wouldn't it make more sense to just live a more sustainable? Isn't there a happy medium where we could just live more sustainably?
I think that's what a big portion of the environmental movement wants and has strived for, is sustainability. I personally think that's a pipe dream, and that there isn't really any such thing. Like, for instance, getting clean energy would be great. It would be better than using fossil fuels, but it's not good. It's less bad, because we still have to. There's issues with all the clean energies, and they still require land, and it's just another way to allow us to continue to live how we're living and grow. We're still going to need food, and we're still going to be traveling the world, which is going to spread more species.
Do you think our evolution as humans was a mistake? Like, we weren't supposed to be here at all?
No. I mean, I don't think there's a supposed to or not supposed to when it comes to evolution. Maybe consciousness was not necessarily a fluke, but maybe it's not necessarily a great thing. I mean, certainly if you think of the value of a trait evolutionarily, it's to ensure your survival. But consciousness and reason has allowed us to destroy our own habitat and threaten our own existence. So maybe it's not a very good trait for survival.
What's a good book you would recommend on more information?
David Benatar, who I mentioned before,
Yeah.
he has an essay that's in a book called Permissible Progeny, which is all about anti-natalism and has some good essays on it. But there's really not a whole lot of information directly related to anti-natalism. Respect for Nature by Paul Taylor is pretty good in outlining biocentric ethics.
How long have you been, I guess, have you self-identified as an anti-natalist?
About 3 years.
Okay.
And there's, like I said, there's not really an organization to it, but the guy who created the website was sort of the one who gave it a name, Les Knight.
Well, yeah, I saw that on the Wikipedia page. I was like, that can't be his real name. It was like Les Unite. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is or not. You can see a clip of him on Tucker Carlson's show.
So you want to eliminate the human race. How unhappy was your childhood?
Oh, I know a lot of people think that. No.
It's an obvious conclusion. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want people to become extinct?
Any last words? Don't have kids.
Pull out.
Yeah, wear condoms. No. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments about this. And check out David's information, his YouTube channel in the description. And I will see you next week.